Just taking a little stroll down Bondi, bringing you with me. The sun's with us again. It was raining earlier on, absolutely pelting it down. Now, the sun is back. I'm just having a little stroll on the beach, which is really, really nice. Lots of tourists here, just had an ice cream, that was very nice as well. And it's been a fantastic holiday, a great vacation here in Australia. First in Melbourne and now in Sydney. And tomorrow heading to the airport and heading to LA and then back to London and back to Mansfield. What have I learned from this trip? Well, that's a good question, Watko. I've learned that it's important to switch off. I was very, very stressed before I kind of left the UK for this trip, and I've managed to switch the pause button, which has been good. It's a pause button though, and I've started to just let that slip a little. Over the last couple of days, starting to think about getting back home, starting to think about work and money issues, probably because I've spent so much money being here. But I think the most important thing is family, it's friends. Life isn't all about work. If it was all about work all the time, it would be pretty boring. Work really is just a means to get the money and to allow you to do things like this, you know. So it's been a real experience and wouldn't change it for the world. I'm hoping one day I'll come back to Australia sooner rather than later. I find that this is a country for young people, and I'm not so young anymore. So it feels like I need to maybe get another trip in before I'm not able to move around as much as I would like to. A bit of a dodgy knee, and that's been playing up quite a lot on this trip. So, you know, need to get that fixed. I think that the holidays taught me that. I had an injection in my knee in January and basically sort of numbed the pain for a couple of months. But then sadly, the injection, the steroid injection, started to wear off just before coming to Australia. So I've kind of been dealing with a bit of pain in my knee, which has obviously been brought on by maybe walking a bit too much. You know, I do walks every day, 2-mile walks around Mansfield, but this is just amazing. I'm just soaking this in. What a place. Yeah, I do the walks around Mansfield, but that's only 2 miles a day. And here, I've been walking around about 20,000 steps a day. So, you know, I've been putting a lot of pressure on the old knee, and, you know, that's something that hopefully I can sort out on my return. Also on my return, got lots of exciting projects on the go. Watko's What the Hell is Going On Here? Looking forward to doing a little series of those on YouTube. Got to arrange to get some of those recorded and book some guests for that. I want to do 6, so if I can try and do 6 this year, that'd be absolutely fantastic, if possible, all being well. Also podcasts I'm recording, still doing Doctors and Nurses with Patrick and Lee Law, which is going really, really well, and lots of other things in my head. Going to be doing some work with my mate Si and making more videos and what have you. Been using this trip really to sort of try out, you know, have a go at making more videos, a bit sort of travel vloggy sort of thing. It's been a real learning curve. You know, I'm not an expert at this, and you know, standing there in front of the camera when everybody's sort of like knocking around is kind of embarrassing, you know. And you try and script it a little bit, and then suddenly you start speaking and it just goes out your head. I don't know whether that's because, as I say, I'm getting old, but I'm like, where did we just have lunch? Just, you know, it just disappears out your head. So yeah, just doing a bit more of this when I get back, and trying to not get too stressed out about work really. I think that is the That's my main goal, because I just get too caught up in it all. And I'm already, as I say, the pause button's starting to sort of like slip off a little bit, although I'm not at work until Monday, so I've still got the weekend to come. A lot of that will be spent on a plane. Starting to think about it, starting to get nervous about going back to work, and nervous about, you know, the future of my work, whether it's going to be in radio or something completely different. What that other thing will be, I don't know, because, as I've said to many people, I don't really have that many skills. I suppose I've got some transferable skills, but, you know, I'm a gob on a stick really at work. Anyway, so this has just been a little to camera thing. I really don't know how this has worked, or how it looks, or whether it's been boring, but at least you are getting a little bit of Bondi magic thrown in. A few surfboards there, you know. At least you're getting that. The sun is now in my eyes, so if I'm sort of squinting a bit, I apologise. So one final night here in Sydney, hopefully get some nice food and a few drinks, and then tomorrow going to go to some markets, and then flight to LA. I think it's around 6 o'clock-ish, so I'll be heading over to the airport in the afternoon, and then I think we're going to get 2 Saturdays because I'll be going over the international date line. So this is going to take 30 hours of travelling to get home. 30 hours of travelling, that is, try not to think about it. Try not to think about that too seriously just yet, and try and just enjoy the moment, you know. Enjoy the moment. Which is what we should all do, really. It's just like, sort of sit here and, or stand here and breathe in the sea air. Show you this sign here. The sign would make me think maybe I don't fancy getting in the water. No signs sort of suggesting there are sharks here, but I did see some news reports during my couple of weeks here saying that basically there are sharks in there, and some locals are contemplating the idea of doing some culling of the sharks, and others are saying we shouldn't do that, we shouldn't get rid of the sharks. I'm not sure where I stand on it. I mean, I've not seen anybody eat them today, so maybe we don't need to cull any sharks, I don't know, but that's the discussion that's going on at the moment in this neck of the woods, particularly around the Sydney area. The Coogee to Sydney walk was absolutely outstanding, probably one of the best walks that I have ever done in terms of the scenery and, you know, obviously the sea and the coastline. Fantastic. Actually heard Michael Vaughan on the Stick to Cricket podcast talking about that walk before coming out here, and have to say he was absolutely right. Probably one of the highlights of the trip, and done on my last full day, which is really lucky, isn't it, really, you know, to get the opportunity to do that. I feel very blessed to be here, and hopefully my battery's a little bit more recharged and I'll be able to come back to the UK and make some content and make some magic happen. I was in a taxi, an Uber, with this guy this week. Obviously he was driving it, and he said, I said, oh, I'd love a car like this, and he's like, you can have a car like this, because I'd said something like, I'd love a car like this, but I'll never have the opportunity to have it. And he was like, Eric, look, if you want something, you're going to make the magic happen. And it turned out that although he was driving an Uber, this guy was making lots of money in the Middle East out of gold. He showed us some pictures of him with loads of gold. So he's doing very well for himself. And he goes back to Greece once a month. So it's a long old journey between Sydney and Greece on a regular basis. I'm not sure I'd want to do that. But anyway, yeah, so you know, he's living the dream, and at the same time doing a bit of Uber driving on the side. Millionaire Uber driver, perhaps. Anyways, it's nice of him to give me a bit of advice, you know, a bit of life advice, saying, you know, just keep going. Don't give up. You know, there's still life in the old dog yet. And, you know, someday I could have one of those cars. I couldn't tell you what car it was. I'm not really a car person, to be honest with you, but it looked good. One of those big ones, you know, an SUV type thing with... I was impressed by the screen at the front, you know. Had, you know, it said... There was a map on it and it said what the weather was and stuff, and that impressed me. It doesn't take a lot to impress me. Somebody just walked over, somebody drawn a picture of a penis on the sand. It's a bit rude, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen that before on a beach. These Australians, what can I say? Having said that, I've not seen too many Australians today. Pretty much everybody I've spoken to, you know, serving in the cafes, the bars. I think they're British, most of them. I can understand why people would want to come and do work here. What a place to live, eh? Fantastic. Got myself a little a button which I bought in a sort of a souvenir shop. It's an Aussie button, so basically you press it and it does Aussie phrases. So when I'm at home and I'm feeling a bit sort of wistful about not being in Australia and not being in the sunshine and not being in a place like this next to the South Pacific, I can press the button and it goes, "G'day, Cobber." I'll just feel a little bit more like close to being back in Oz. So I'm looking forward to using that extensively over the next week as I dip my toes back into work and try and get through to the first weekend. Because that's the thing, isn't it? When you go back to work after a holiday, first week, it's so hard, isn't it, to get back into the whole sort of run of things, you know, get back into the swing of things. So yeah, so that's me, just been walking around, just having a little natter with you. I tell you what, I am going to be, it's part of me that thinks I need to go home because I've been eating far too much and drinking far too much. I've had an alcoholic drink every day and my body's like going, "Ian, it's time to have a rest." So I'm looking forward to that. My body's like saying, "Ian, look, if you don't stop, you're going to be..." Nobody's been eaten, by the way. It's just a family screaming. They're excited. There's no shark attack or anything like that, if you heard that in the background. Yeah, my body's like going, "Ian, if you keep eating, you're going to be like 20 stone by the time you get to May." So need to obviously put a stop to that, and looking forward to get back into a proper routine, you know. Not looking forward to getting back to English time. I've got a sneaky suspicion that's going to be quite tricky, you know, getting back into the whole UK time zone. Eek. Although the first weekend after I've been back for a week at work, at home, clocks are doing their thing, springing forward, so that's good. And then the weekend after, I think, is Easter. Chocolate weekend. So time is flying by. I suppose the one thing I am concerned about is, if I'm honest with you, is not having anything to look forward to. So Australia's kind of like been in my back pocket for 6 months, and just to have that, you know, there as something coming up to keep me going. So I think I'm going to have to get something else in the diary. It's important to have these little things that you can look forward to, I reckon. Anyways, that's it from me, Watko, on Bondi Beach. A bit of a ramble, but hopefully you enjoyed it, if indeed I ever put this on the internet. Peace and love.